Welcome back to another episode of Talking Tarkov. I'm the EarLegAthlete here with,
Hey Dizzle.
and today we've got another weekly boss spawn rotation, BSG Banwave, and some speculation. So let's go ahead and get right into it. So I guess first things first, we'll get the stuff that we can talk about relatively quickly out of the way. So we've got Sanitar for this week's boss spawn rotation, which I'm glad, honestly. I know I've said this about each one, and it is cool because Tarkov's never done this before, so each week having a new boss to go after is cool. But
Yeah,
I genuinely like the Sanitar fight. I love the shoreline map. I love the locations that you can run into Sanitar. I like that he has 3 different spawns that he can be at. And I just like the fact that it's him plus 2 others. They're relatively cracked. He gets all geeked up and like ready to just go at it. You know what I mean? So
yeah,
it's like
yeah. He's a cool
it's a
fight,
fun fight. And depending on where you catch
especially.
him at,
Well, that's what I was gonna
go
say,
ahead.
especially at resort because like
Right,
you got the pier, which it's a pretty straightforward fight. Like there's only one strip there. You know where he's gonna be. Like he can go inside the
right.
building, yeah, but you pretty much have a good idea. And then at the houses, we're at the
Yeah, cottages.
yeah, like it's a little
Well,
more
that's one of my
unknown there.
other. Yeah, I was gonna say resort's my favorite, and then
Yeah,
that's my
by
second
far.
favorite, just because of the bushes. Like adding in the bushes, and then the two house, or well, the house that he can be inside. He can be on the front side, back side, this side of the fence, that side of the
Right.
fence. So he can be like just tucked in the bushes.
Well,
So
even
that one
across
adds a
the
little bit of
road, they
value.
he can go across the
That's
road
true.
there over into the little construction area. But resort, I mean, he can be anywhere, like on the
Yeah,
first floor. Like mainly they don't go upstairs. I've seen him on like the second floor stairs, like but never actually like upstairs on second floor. But
yeah. I think I've only run into him a couple times, like
you,
actually on the stairwell.
yeah, you got the whole resort. East wing, west wing. You got inside, outside. You have pretty much the whole back end. They can go up and down that fence. It's just a much bigger area, so it's like more of a random fight each time, or more of a surprising fight. You're not really sure exactly where you're going to run into them there,
Right. And they run generic AKs and stuff like that. So I mean, there is the AS Val, but
or the VSS.
for
Yeah, the VSS.
or the VSS, yeah, not the AS Val, the VSS. There's the VSS, but if Sanitar's not the one shooting, it's kind of hard to tell if it is actually Sanitar and his guards. You could
Right.
speculate that it is, and depending on if it's outside, sometimes it's a little more obvious. But when they're inside the resort shooting the AKs and stuff like that, it's just like it's gets relatively difficult, or the
Yeah.
shotguns or
Well, and
whatever
then
they may have.
Sanitar himself can have the Keter. He can have the SR3. He can
Oh
have
yeah, he does run the SR3. Yeah,
there's several different
he's got a
weapons he
few.
runs. Yeah. So yeah, it's an enjoyable fight. Like it's definitely better than like Sturman, where you're just one place. Uh, Usually same fight every time. It's usually a long distance fight. At least getting the guards out of the way. It's easier to rush Sturman once the guards are gone, but
Right.
it's just not it's not fun to do it over and over. With Sanitar, at least you get a little mix up each time with, possibly being in a different location, possibly running different weapons.
He
Even the
could be stemmed
guards
out of
mix
his
it up a little
mind from a
bit.
previous
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
and could be absolutely cracked.
He does some really
Um,
random things. Like
he
sometimes he'll
does
just run right
absolutely.
at you. Other times he'll be kind of sneaky. Last time I fought him in resort, I killed his guards, and he was out in the hallway. I was in a room trying to heal up. He's out in the hallway just creeping around the doors, like trying to like shoot me. And I'm like, is this a person? Is this Sanitar? Like it freaked me out. Like I was like, that's weird because it felt like a
Yeah,
real
because
player.
a boss would never typically
No,
creep and crouch and try to be
I'd never
quiet
had
going
that
around
happen
you.
ever. That was the first time I've ever had that happen. But it was
To
just
touch
weird.
on the guns that he can have, Sanitar himself will run the VSS, the SR3M. Both of those are suppressed. He'll run the OPSKS. He'll run the M870. He'll run the Keter B. He'll run the Deagle and the APS pistol,
Yeah,
as well as grenades. So like it generically, a lot of those guns get used throughout
right.
early wipe, mid wipe, late wipe, even. So it can potentially be hard to spot them sometimes, especially when they're inside, like I said. But yeah, that's what Sanitar himself can run. So
I'm always so mad when I kill him and he's got the freaking Keter. I'm
the
like,
Keter or the shotgun, either
yeah,
of
or the
those piss me
SKS
off.
even. It, I hardly
Yeah,
ever
it's
see him
pretty
with that
useless.
though. Most of the time it's the VSS, and then
Or the SR.
probably the second most is the Keter. I do catch him with the Keter a lot, like I really do, and
That's fair. I've
The
seen with the
SR,
SR3M a pretty decent amount.
well, now, yeah, now that they added it, where they just added it like 2 patches ago, now he spawns with it a
Yeah.
lot. But before that, it was always Keter and VSS, almost always.
The one good thing is when he does have a shotgun, you can typically get AP20 out of it. And if he has the VSS or the SR3M, he's got SP6, SPP, or BP, so that's pretty good too.
I don't think I've ever ran into him with the shotgun. Not that I can remember. His guards always run, they'll run like
The
what's
Viga
the
or the Saiga.
yeah, you're thinking DayZ names because we played DayZ.
Yeah.
But yeah, the Saiga with the drum mag and stuff like that. It's like, so yeah, you can get some good ammo out of that. But it's just a fun fight. It really is. It's especially for a shoreline. Shoreline's a map that, a lot of people hate. A lot of people hate it because it's like nothing's going on until you get to resort. Well, at least this spices it up a little bit where now Pier can be pretty crazy, and it gives some more things to do on the map,
Yeah. Yeah, it
which I
definitely
love
does. Well, and
Shoreline.
on
I'm
top of
I'm a
that, you
Shoreline.
have
I've always loved Shoreline, but I know
yeah,
some people
same.
hate it.
It's just such a good map.
Yeah,
It's woods with more POIs.
yeah, pretty much.
But no, it not only do you have Sanitar there, who is going to be spawning full time, but that's also one of the places that the goons love to
Yeah,
spawn.
yeah,
Is over at the water or satellite dish, whatever
yeah.
they call
Satellite
that. What?
station. Yeah,
Yeah, satellite
I
station,
think it's a radio station, or yeah, it's like a radio station
satellite
slash
radio
weather
station, some sort
station.
of yeah, weather station.
I
That's the
think
other
it's
thing people
technically the
call it.
weather
Yeah,
station is what it's called. Yeah. But yeah, it's that's a crazy combination if you get him, his guards, and the boys. Like that's, and then
I
you still have the
have had to fight.
possibility. Well, I was gonna say you still have the possibility of uh what's his face? I can't think of his name. The
Oh
idiot
shit.
with the grenades, the trip
We never
mines.
see him. Yeah,
Yeah. Why can we not think of this guy's name?
partisan.
No, I'm talking about his brother,
Yeah.
John.
Oh, Jonathan.
Yeah, yeah, Jonathan.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
He's an asshole
partisan.
too.
It's like you got a partisan, the boys, and Sanitar. It's like that's a
Yeah.
pretty crazy map.
I ran into I was up on the roof. I was on I think I had either just started a PvP wipe or just started playing PvE. So I was early, like sub 15, and I'm up on top of the roof. I think I was doing the task up there, and I run into Sturman out front, and then the goons were in the back. So I was like moving back and forth trying to deal with them, and they were lobbing grenades up at me.
Wait a
It
minute,
was crazy. I've
Sturman?
never or Sanitar. Dude, I do that. I still do that. No matter how long I've played
I got
Tarkov,
confused. I was like, wait,
Sturman
is he
and
talking about
Sanitar are the
Woods?
fucking same people to me.
I thought you were talking
But
about
no,
maybe the Woods.
Sanitar and his guards were out front, and the goons were out back, and it was chaos because they were all lobbing grenades. Anytime I'd peek, I was getting shot at. Um, I think I eventually killed everything but Sanitar out front, and then just focused on the goons. I never saw Sanitar again. He probably went in and hid,
Yeah,
which is
it can be
something
a
else he'll do. He
wild.
will just flat out go hide from you
Yeah,
if you
yeah,
kill
he
his
will.
guards.
Yep. That's when he was
But yeah,
creeping through the hallway at me because I killed his guard, so he was just creeping.
yeah, but yeah, it can be crazy. It can also be a pretty straightforward, easy fight.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely.
Sometimes you catch them at a distance, especially when they're cottages or the pier, and you can just pick them off one by one. But a lot of the time, it's a pretty good fight. I usually enjoy the Sanitar fight a lot.
The first time I killed him, I did it on one of my scavs. This was back before scav karma was a thing. You could just kill the bosses as a scav. And I spawned in with a VPO sniper. And I
Hell yeah!
remember, yeah, I remember headshotting him. And I didn't expect it to kill him, but it did. I was actually pretty surprised. And at that time, I didn't know, because they had just put him in the game, I didn't know much about the guards or anything. So I'm just sitting there shooting at them, thinking, why aren't they falling over? Like, I've hit them. He died
Right?
quick. But then come to find out, it's because they're heavily armored. He doesn't have armor on his head.
Yeah,
That's why
they
I
got
couldn't
thick
kill
helmets
them.
and shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
They
the
ended up
VPO
killing me.
probably had like TCW
No,
or something in
yeah,
it.
yeah. It was I remember it was EKO. I had EKO
EKO,
heads.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the 366 VPO,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, like I rushed up there because I was all excited I killed him, and I'm just thinking I'll just pick them off as I go because I didn't know if they were just scavs. I knew he had guards, but I wasn't sure how many. I wasn't sure who was left, and
Right.
I run up there and his guards just gunned me down instantly. Like I didn't realize how
Yeah.
tough they were.
Yeah. Yeah, they're definitely can be the harder part of the fight.
But like you said, sometimes it can
And
be very
they'll get
easy.
pretty aggressive too, though.
Yeah, it's such a weird fight because I've had times where I was just like, well, that was underwhelming. And then other times it's like
Yeah,
fighting for my
yeah,
life, you know?
right.
It's all
Yeah,
about
there's been
positioning.
times that yeah, I was gonna say a lot of times it's just if you are able to get good shots on them or not before they can spot you.
Well, like I said, the guards they'll wear like, I think I see them a lot in the level 6 blue armor. I can't think of the name of it, or the gray armor. Gazelle. They see them in the gazelles a
Gazelles,
lot.
yeah,
Um, I just see them. Obviously, Sanitar doesn't wear any armor. His armor is stems. He just, you
yeah.
know, and you'll see him like go off and heal. Like you'll hear him over there like doing bandages or doing stems, and so it's like he takes every
Yeah, he has
opportunity
a
he can
grizzly he'll
to
hit.
re-up. Yeah, yeah. So you can shoot him, and if he gets time to go heal, he'll heal all the way back up, and it's all the way back to however much damage you got to do. I think he's probably, if I had to guess, it's probably in the 500-600 range. Maybe not that much, 400, 500, something like that. I know he's got a crazy amount of health. I'm gonna look
He
it
does
up
have
right
a large
now.
amount of health. And then well the thing is too, if he has time to go back and stem up and everything else, he's not just, health stemming. He's like
Right.
he's hitting a little bit of everything. So he's,
He
he's got SJ in him, he's got this in him, he's got the painkillers and everything else. Like he
he
just
can
gets
kill
geeked out of
his
his
too
mind.
from
That is
Obdobalus. I've
true. He'll
seen it.
hit the
Yeah, I've seen
obdoms.
him.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's killed himself before on that. Oh my God, Sanitar has 1,270 health, which I was thinking that wrong because us players we have
Yeah, we have 4
440.
something, 470, 480.
I think
Or
it's
yeah, it is
440.
440. It's 440.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So, but
Yeah.
still, that's he's got 3 times our
That's a
health.
lot.
So
That's still a
yeah,
lot of health. Yeah.
yeah, that's crazy. His thorax and his legs are the most armored. His thorax is 360. His legs are 230 each. That's crazy.
That's a lot of fucking health.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
His head's 70, so
Oh,
takes a
yeah,
couple
he can
headshots.
absolutely headshot him pretty quickly. Yeah, 2 taps.
But
Ugh.
yeah, it's a fun fight. I understand some people aren't thrilled, fighting Sanitar, but I'm satisfied whenever I run into him. Like most of the time, I enjoy it.
Yeah, compared to some of the other bosses, he's more
Absolutely.
enjoyable for sure. I put him pretty high on my list of things that are,
Yeah.
like, fun to fight. Not like, "Oh,
Yeah.
that's a grind, that's a really hard fight," but it's just enjoyable, like you said, it's just fun.
Yeah. Not near as predictable, not near as repetitive as some bosses.
Yeah. But yeah, that's Sanitar, and I hope you guys enjoy him, get your achievements done, all that good stuff. Um, the next thing we don't have a lot of like news from BSG. We'll speculate on that in just a moment. But what we did get a couple days ago is another ban wave. BSG hit us with a 10,000 player ban wave. So we got all the names and everything here. I'm not gonna flash it because
N-
sometimes some names that aren't approved by YouTube
Yeah.
pop up on here.
No,
So
we gotta
so
we gotta go through and say every name.
yeah, I'm gonna read 10,000. Well, I'm gonna
List
read
them
like
all off right
5,000.
now.
Adam's gonna read the other
Yeah, we'll
5K.
split it up.
Billet V Escron, my second account. Don't cry, you just bad. Go ahead, Adam. You can read 3. I'll read 3. You read 3. No, there's a shit ton of
LeBob.
names on the. Yeah, yeah. He's been banned 4 times.
Fourth time ban. Third time this way.
Fire walk with me. That's crazy. I didn't know he was cheating.
Middle?
No,
What?
middle dad, middle
That's
dad
weird.
gaming. 2 accounts banned. That's unfortunate. But
EarLeg
yeah, so
athlete?
hey, yo, whoa, keep that name quiet, dude. They don't need to know.
Oh,
I
yeah,
got
I
a
didn't
second
realize till
account.
I
It's
said it.
called EarLegAthlete.
Oh, okay. The L's spaced
Yeah, yeah.
behind the L. R. Yeah.
It's EarLegAthlete. Different
Okay.
person.
Yeah, yeah, totally.
Lover of anal. But yeah, no. If you want to see the list, go to Twitter. It's up there. Check it out. Pretty cool stuff. Maybe your friend's on there and you can harass him and call him a piece of shit.
Yeah.
That would
If you
be
got a
best
buddy
case
you've always
scenario.
wondered if he's cheating and he told
Yeah.
you he just got bored and didn't want to play Tarkov anymore, well, now you can figure out if that's really true or if he got banned.
If your favorite streamer has a new account, you know why. But yeah, other than that, that's like there's really not much going on with Tarkov though. It's pretty dead right now. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we all know we're waiting on, the patch. We're waiting on 1.0.
Yeah.
We're waiting on events. We're genuinely in that stage of hurry up and wait. Like we got
Yeah.
here, now it's like a few weeks off from a patch probably. maybe
Yeah.
another event lined up. But that also kind of brings into question what's going on with Tarkov. It's been pretty silent. Is it all just like keep it quiet? Let's push towards 1.0, get that ready, and drop a lot of the like big bombs on people. Is there a big event about to drop? Are the players just bored, so there's less things being talked about, and they're off doing other shit? Or do you think it's just typical late wipe things that are just bound to happen?
I
'Cause
think
we've
it's a
been around for a
mix.
while. We've
Yeah.
seen, how the law goes, but I will say maybe it's just because we've gotten so much from BSG lately, it
It
feels
is.
quieter than a normal late wipe period, but it could
Yeah.
be because we're so used to the content they've been producing and giving to us, that we're just like, "Where's all the stuff?" "Oh, okay, well, nothing's going on." It feels more dead than it would, like, last year or the year before.
Right. Yeah, it's a mix of everything. We had that huge push for like transparency and openness after Unheard Edition, and so we got like constant updates. Um, Now that 1.0 is coming, we have two big patches left before 1.0. So I
Yeah,
think a lot of it is also they just have their heads down right now, just optimizing, fixing, finishing whatever's left to get all that ready. Because we have the July update and then the August update, and the August update's going to be a wipe, and it's going to be 1.0. So
right.
at least I assume, because that's pretty much how it has it
That's
listed
yeah,
on the the preliminary plan they
the
put out.
roadmap, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It's got, July, you have the cultist in-game event, which Nikita himself said was going to be a big event. And then August, you have large scale in-game event, which has to be the transition to 1.0. So
I would imagine. I
yeah,
mean,
it
they
has
could
to
even be
be.
doing, 1.0 drops, big event happens to kinda set it all off. Maybe they have an idea for, like, how it all starts even.
Yeah.
We
Yeah, I
know that
think
there's
that's what it's going to
cutscenes and a
be.
bunch of different stuff adding in, so, I mean, like, I would expect a pretty big something,
Yeah.
either to bring in 1.0 or to introduce with 1.0. Uh, in what regards, like, I don't know, but, I can't the way Nikita and all them have talked throughout this whole time leading up to 1.0 is, like, 1.0 has to be the game changer, it has to be big, and it has to be something that's worth talking about. So to me, like you said, it's probably most likely tied to 1.0 in some way or another
Well, and they've even pretty much come out and almost confirmed it when they said uh, PVE is going to have to wipe from
with
the
1.0. Yeah,
yeah, from the August patch, the large scale event, or they're not going to get the new stuff. Basically, you can play the game like it is right now. You just don't get any of the new stuff that's coming with the August patch. So that pretty much tells you right there that when that
something big's
patch hits,
happening.
that's going to be game changing. So much of a
Yeah,
game changer that to continue playing the game the new way, you have to wipe your account on every platform, or not platform, but
right.
every type of game mode, PVE, PvP. So and now
Sounds
they
like a
still are
pretty
giving you
large
the
transition.
option. Yeah, you still get the
Yeah, you
option
can.
to
Yeah,
not wipe on PVE, but if you don't get to join in on all the new cool things. So that's, I mean, that and just the fact that it's a end of wipe or middle to end of wipe, like, and then like you said, just the work they're doing, the patches, Tarkov being where it's at the moment, all the stuff we had before, where we got all the updates from people. Like we got the
right.
Tarkov community, we got just constant communication from Nikita, all that stuff. It was bound to slow down at some point, and I feel like it's just a combination of all that together. This is probably
Yeah,
the slowest it's going to be, like until it pops off again, and then it's probably just
right,
going to
right,
go
right.
crazy.
I would imagine. And I mean, let's be honest, it's always been this slow at the end of a wipe years
Yeah, yeah,
past.
always, yeah,
It's never been any different. We were used to these long drawn out content droughts from BSG, from Nikita, from everybody. It always felt like they were very disconnected from the updating and stuff like that and telling us
yeah,
what was going on in the transparency. But like, yeah, just not to rehash, but just with everything that's happened previously lining up to
right,
it. And the fact that another part of that is that we know 1.0 is the next big
yeah,
update. So
yeah,
it's like we're all anticipating that beyond what we would typically anticipate a wipe because this is the
Exactly.
new
It's
Tarkov.
not
This
just
is
another wipe.
1.0. This is the game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not just
Yeah,
another
it's
wipe,
huge.
and that's what we were used to. And you were right though; they had a really bad track record with, keeping everybody updated on what's going on when things are happening. It was never something they were known for. And then all of a
Right.
sudden, they get really good at it, and they start exceeding expectations, even my expectations. Even when they
Oh
said they
yeah,
were going to do
by a
things,
long shot.
yeah, I was still surprised. Like, whoa, like every time we looked, there was some news, there was some kind of
Weekly
update. There
updates,
was,
daily updates in
yeah,
some
they
regards.
Nikita was
Like
doing interviews, he was doing Tarkov TVs on Twitch. Like it was just everything just fell
arena
into
coverage,
place.
arena updates, like yeah, like every aspect of the game and the community and in the
Yeah.
studio, it seemed like it was all
They
firing together on all cylinders for once.
reopened the Reddit, like everything came back at once. And for the, beginning, for the end of last wipe to the beginning of this wipe, it just took a whole new like turn, and everything was just
Yeah,
insanely like detailed. Like we got information on everything, and now it makes it feel even worse that we're not getting
yeah, for
things
sure.
because of how much we got all at once. Even though, like you said, this is actually normal, this is just how it goes.
Yeah, this is the
It's
pacing. Yeah,
Yeah, it's just getting so much at one time has kind of made this feel worse than normal. And it also is
yeah,
worse than normal because it's 1.0 that we're waiting on. So it's
yeah,
just a
exactly.
combination of all that, I think. And people are also, everybody gets bored towards the end of the wipe. Everybody goes and
Yeah,
plays other
it's
games.
natural.
Like that, yeah, that's just the normal thing. And you have your hardcore people that, only play Tarkov. They're only, just going to be prestiging and doing hardcore challenge. And, what I mean? They find ways to replay the game. But for most people, it gets old after, a couple months, and you got to at least find something to do to wait for the next wipe to happen. And we're in that position, or in that transition right now, where
Right.
it's happening.
Yeah.
And we've had some cool games too, like other games. You had, even though Marathon sucked, it took a lot of the Tarkov community. A lot of them were playing it. A lot of them were streaming it. That got people doing that, and then immediately Arc Raiders dropped, so that brings a lot of people. So everyone starts talking about that. Then we had Active Matter, which we've been
Active
playing.
matter.
So it's like we've
Yeah.
had a list of games too that are in the we had also the Gray Zone update drop, the DayZ update drop. Like
Yeah, a really
we've
good
had
update
a
on Gray Zone
long
and Daisy.
yeah,
Those were
yeah, we've
both
had a
really
long
solid.
list of other games to have interest in during this time. So it's just caused a drought in the Tarkov related things at the moment, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But I think it's for the best. I think it's on purpose. I think, like we were talking about earlier, I think it's kind of like Nikita could drop some stuff right now, but he's saving it for 1.0. I really believe that.
Well,
I
how many
think he's
times
going
has he
to.
told us to, or told everybody, not just us, but like told everybody,
He
like
calls us up like, "Hey guys,
there's
this is what I'm doing."
yeah, hot news, don't leak it.
Yeah,
No, but like he tells everybody like we have stuff happening, definitive proof or at least definitive word that there is so much more in the works, so much going on all at once, and they are specifically keeping a lot of it quiet, even when they do the reveals, the teasers, the streams, all that shit. It's still at a minor fraction of what they actually have. But like he said over and over, they want to keep their hand for
yeah,
1.0. They want to, have big reveals, big surprises, lots of new changes, lots of cool stuff. They don't want
yeah.
everything to be spoiled all at once. So it also it makes sense.
Yeah,
And when you're this close and there's this much anticipation for a game
right.
that's been out in beta for so long, and it's been, everybody, this is the moment. Like you don't want that to be anticlimactic in any way, shape, or form. You want it to come out strong, and you want people to get hyped up for it. So I mean, I completely understand them holding back and reserving some information and stuff like that,
Absolutely.
and I'm okay with it. But I at the same time, the want to know more about what's
Yeah,
happening is
it's always
killing me.
there.
Like, yeah, it never goes away.
But
But
yeah,
that's
he's
another fun aspect of Tarkov. It's like no other game has made me like
right.
stress like this and constantly think like, what are they doing? What are they cooking up? What's coming? What's next? When's this?
Well,
When's that? Like,
it's been like in constant construction. Like it's never we've
true.
never seen the full Tarkov or the complete Tarkov. It's always been getting upgraded or worked on. So it's like we've always had something to look forward to, and that's been different because most games you buy the game, you play the game, and that's it. That's the game. Tarkov has been completely evolving over time. Not like drastically, but enough to where it keeps it interesting. It keeps it fun. We always want to know what's next. We always want to know what they're going to do next time. What they're planning on doing this wipe, that wipe. So it's always fed our appetite for like new things, and it keeps us always guessing what's happening next time. It's just different than most games. Most games don't give you that.
Yeah, yeah.
But
Um,
also, one other thing is they've always talked about, you know, Nikita's said straight up, I'm not going to give you everything. I don't want you guys to know everything. I want you guys to be surprised. There's only so much they can do. So they can't show us a lot because it's not like they
right.
can just keep coming up with new things, new things, new things. It is a game, and there's only a few things that you can do that have never been done before. You know what I mean? Like, it's hard to come up with ideas that no one's, you know, thought was going to happen, or no one's guessed that was going to happen, or no one's already asked for, or they haven't already said they're going to do. So it's like the list of things that can surprise us is small. So I understand not releasing because there's probably not a lot that they can say without spoiling, because you can't just come up with new stuff all the time.
It's true. And the other side of that too is even if they are coming up with new stuff the entire time, spoiling it before it happens in their game is never ideal for this kind of uh
Right.
or just in video gaming or in anything really in general. Especially if it's something really cool that seems out of the box and people haven't hit yet. If you're the one that comes up with it, I wouldn't spoil that either. So it's like it could go both ways, and it really opens up the door for some pretty limitless possibilities of what could be coming with next. Like obviously it's grounded within the reality of Tarkov, but
Right.
they could expand on a few things and they could add some stuff. But yeah, like
Yeah,
like
it's
you
not
said,
like
there's
unlimited
only so much
possibilities.
they could do.
Right.
Right. Um,
But like they do with
but at the
every
same
single
time,
patch,
holding
even
stuff
when you
back just makes sense no matter
well,
what form it's from.
yeah, and that's kind of Nikita's motto. Like that's, his trademark. That's what he's always done. Even if you look at recent patches and past patches, if you look at the patch notes, there's always a ton of stuff that aren't in the patch notes. There's always extra guns, extra parts, extra equipment, extra little changes. Like there's just always stuff that they could tell you, but they just want you to find it. And it seems like, like it's better that way because yeah, we get to know majority of what's happening. We get to know the big things, but there's still things out there that we just got to figure out. And that's just the way Tarkov is. Like there's always
Yeah.
things that no one tells you, you just got to figure it out yourself. That's
Yeah.
Tarkov.
And when you do realize that thing changed or this is new or this thing, it's like, oh shit, you can do this with this now. Those things that's a cool moment, and you typically
It
remember
is. It
those
really
moments. You're
is.
like, that's an
Yeah.
enjoyable thing that happened.
Because
Yeah,
it's
Tarkov's
rare to
really
get
cool for that.
surprised. It's in
Right.
gaming, especially when a developer does something. 90% of the time, they're just going to tell you because they want you to know they did it. But with Battlestate games, it's like a lot of things they do, they don't tell you, and they don't even care to tell you. If you don't even figure it out, they don't care. But when you do figure it out, it's going to be a lot more surprising because of that.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. And I love when that happens. I do. Even when it's just like walk into a room and you can flip the light switch here. That was the light was just always on or always off, but now you can turn it on and off. And like, sure, that was something that they'd mentioned, but like, actually, I don't know if that is something they mentioned. Light
Yeah, I
switches.
don't. They may have mentioned like, you know, where you could interact with certain in raid objects, but I don't think they ever specified what.
Right. But yeah, I remember the first time finding the light switch. I probably sat in that room in customs in the new
Yeah.
area for like 5 minutes, just flipping on the light switch. Go lay down in the corner, run back up to it, turn the light switch off, like just doing stupid shit.
Yeah.
And like
Yeah,
that's
it's
that's
cool.
always cool. It's always cool. But yeah, moving on, we can go to a couple things that I just wanted to ask like questions and we can speculate on and go from there. Do you think Tarkov gameplay cycle, the gameplay loop, do you think that would be better if they did away with insurance? You brought this question up. You had seen
Yeah,
or you had seen it on
I seen it
Twitter
on
or Reddit or
X,
something like
Twitter.
that. Yeah, and
It
we were just
might
like,
have
yeah, that's a really
been
good question. That's
it might have been Airwing, I think, who actually posted it, and he was saying that since he had recently played like Marathon and Arc Raiders, games that didn't have
Right.
insurance. He's like, do you think Tarkov would be better served with no insurance? So gear was getting churned through more often. People were going through it, and uh, it wasn't like you always had a backup. Like the question was, would you be less worried about gear fear or more worried about it? Like it's really a tough question to answer. I really don't know. Like I've thought about it and I don't know. Like I really
I
don't
think
know.
it ends up in a similar scenario to what we have now with insurance, because even with insurance, people still have that gear fear. And a lot of the times it's newer players or players that just haven't come to understand how easy it really is to replace those big items. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but it seems like a lot of times it's newer players who are like, no, I just don't want to run it. I don't want to run it. And like we're still guilty of it too. Like everybody's guilty of it at one point or another. You get that one reap IR and you're like, well,
Well, that's what I was going to say.
personally, I don't really care for the reap, but like, it's an expensive item. You get it some
Yeah, it's something
T17s
you
or
don't want to
whatever, and you're
lose.
like, oh, I don't want to lose it. I don't want to let somebody else have that. So it's like I can kind of understand it, but at the same time, I got to a point where it's just like that light switch. It's like it just hit me. I was like, oh shit, it doesn't really matter what I run. If I run my best stuff, my worst stuff, all my stuff all at once, like it doesn't really matter. I'm gonna go in. I'm still gonna have decent ammo, a decent build. Still gonna play the same play style,
Well, see,
and
that's
I'm
the
still either
thing.
gonna win or lose fights. Like that's always been, because my thought was
You
if I had best gear on, it's hard to lose the fight. But if I go in with the best gear and I lose the fight, I can't win fights in the future. You know what I mean? Like that was my
right.
like maybe not entirely accurate, but that was pretty close to what my thought process was.
Well, it's like you already can't insure ammo, and really, like the only thing that I will insure and worry about is like really good gun builds, like
Yeah,
armor,
yeah,
helmets, things like that. It's like, oh well, night vision is nice to get back, but more or less, guns are the only thing that feel like personal to me, like my build.
yeah. Because you're
Everything else,
customizing it to a point.
right?
Yeah,
Everything else is easily replaceable. Everything else you can go in as a scav and probably find it the next scav raid. Like
yeah,
as far
yeah. Pretty
as
easily.
guns, I feel like if they were to change it up, I would be okay with them only allowing guns to be insured. Like get rid of the armor and the helmets and all that, because it does make people like they kind of fall back in thinking I don't need to buy anything because I'm just going to get that back. I'm just going to drop this somewhere. Oh, my friend died. I'm just going to hide his stuff for him. He'll get it back on
Yeah,
insurance.
just fraud it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like there is I don't know exactly what it does to the game, but I would be okay with testing it out, getting rid of it. Just seeing what it
And
would do.
as much
And I
as I
don't
do
know if it'd be
love my
good or
gun
bad.
builds, they let me save the presets. So like, and I'm trying to think of it from like if we started the wipe or we started the game and it was just like insurance wasn't there. I don't think it would hurt. Like it would suck, but it
It
wouldn't
would
suck any less
suck
than
in the
any other
beginning.
game, right?
Well, it would
Yeah,
suck in the
because it's
beginning.
like,
Once you have
well,
money
most of
and
the
everything
time,
unlocked and everything, then it's like, yeah,
right,
it's no,
yeah.
it's just a couple button presses to replace. But in the beginning,
Well,
when you have
most
to
of the time in
find all your
PvP
parts,
though, your shit's getting stripped, no matter when you die. Like if
yeah,
it's early,
yeah.
late,
If
mid,
someone
like
finds
if
it,
it's
yeah, yeah.
early, people need your shit. If it's late, people are just gonna strip it and throw pieces around or whatever. That's one of the things I like to do too is strip somebody's gun all the way down as low as I can in raid, not take actually any of the parts, but send it back to them in the mail piece by piece. I think that's a funny way to send somebody's gun back. Like I could have had all this, but no, like early wipe, like you get that good build, you take it in and you
Yeah,
die
it'd be
with it.
tough. It'd be tough.
It's probably getting snatched. Either a
Yeah.
player scav or a PMC is gonna find it, and it's
The
usually
only
not
time
ideal.
insurance works great is if you die in a weird spot. If you die in an unexpected
Right.
spot. If you get one tapped by a scav in just a random area, no one's gonna find that most of the time. But now with
Right.
scavs taking the loot also, it's like they can
That's
pick up your
true.
gun, go off, and someone could kill that scav later, see that gun on them, and then take it that way. So there's
That's
still a lot
happened a
of
few
ways to
times. Yeah.
yeah, a lot of ways to lose your loot, but at the same time, early wipe is probably
The most
the
crucial
only
time.
time, yeah, that it really matters. But here's the other thing. We always finish a wipe with
Way
plenty
more
of
shit than
money.
we need.
Yeah,
Yeah.
plenty of money. And I just feel like anything that stretches out that beginning to middle of the game, if anything does it, then I'm kind of for it. So if insurance
Honestly,
could
yeah.
getting rid of it could stretch out that, part where everyone's not super geared so quick and everybody's
I think
still,
it would.
I do too. And that's why I want to see it. And like I said, I'm half and half on this because I can't come to a definitive answer. I don't know. Some things I can look at and be like, yeah, that'd be good for the game. That'd be
Right.
bad for the game.
But
With
would it
this,
like
I don't know.
genuinely help or hinder overall?
Right.
It's a toss up.
And
It really
without
is.
trying it, I can't really say. It's like I think it's some positives, some negatives, but I can't just say, completely one way or the other. It's a
I
tough
would
choice.
absolutely be willing to try it though.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it would be worth a
I think
shot.
it adds some element because it kind of adds that like, well, you died in raid. Guess what? Your character died. Like you have this
Right.
shit because it was in your stash. This is so and so. Like you can. And I know that's like not how Tarkov works, but um, yeah. I mean, yeah. I don't know.
Well,
I
here's the
wouldn't
other
be against it either
side.
way, but I'm also the guy that's like, when you die, you die. Like that's it. You
The
lose everything anyways. So
the other side of it has always been people who play on teams. Your insurance is safer majority of the time because even if you
oh
die
yeah,
or two of your teammates die and there's still one left, well, he's just going to go hide all your stuff and you're all going to get it back. So it's like
yeah,
there's
yeah.
always been an advantage running in a group with insurance. And I feel like something could be done to somehow make it where it's not like that. Like Tarkov being about, kind of harsh the same way for everyone. That's a weird thing that they kind of get a buff on that. Which going in as a group, you got a buff anyways in the raid because you're a group. So
Right.
I guess that's just Tarkov. I guess, and that's why I have
Yeah.
such a hard time with it. I just don't know what the right answer is for it. But I feel like
Right.
there is a middle ground. There is somewhere where something could be done to where it could maybe make the game better. It might not. It might be fine where it's at. I don't know. But like you said, I'm willing to try it. I'm willing to
Yeah.
have them
Absolutely.
do that and see just what happens.
Throw it on the test server for a few months. Let people check it out. I think it'd be
Yeah.
pretty cool.
Well, and a lot of people I hear they straight up say they just don't use insurance. You know what I mean? They're like it's just a waste of money. I agree, it can be a waste of money, but I have
It
extra
can be.
money to spend. So why
Right.
not use it
And
for
insurance is
something
not that
that saves
expensive.
money? Yeah, yeah, it's
Right.
not bad. Half the
And on the
time, yeah,
chance I get the majority of my gun parts back and my mags and stuff, cool.
well, that's what I was gonna say. Half the time when I do get stuff back, I just sell most of it anyways and keep like the gun. So it's like most of the time I'm just getting some of the money back, so I'm not really losing much.
Yeah. It's not bad. I'm
No,
for insurance. I like insurance, but I would also try it without it. I
yeah,
think it's
yeah,
interesting. I think
yeah.
it's a cool question for sure.
I think something they could tweak
Um.
and just see where it leads.
Yeah, just see what happened. Yeah, or even like you said earlier and just said now, tweak it a little bit and just make it only guns or what you can get back. Or you
Right.
can insure one item. You have to pick and choose what it is or something. Anything. They could try some stuff for sure.
Yeah, yeah, something.
But yeah, the next thing is, would you want to see a version of Tarkov that's a persistent world? How they connect it, whether they just use the current system for map to map travel to kind of load to the next zone, and like there's tiers to the worlds maybe, so it's like you start on customs, there's not a lot of loot there. As you move into the next map, it gets a little bit better, then the next map's a little bit better, and then you end on streets or something, I don't know, or somewhere big, and that's where the real good shit's at. That's where the high tier players are. That's like the stuff, right? Or
Yeah,
even
kind of
just a
like
persistent world with no raid timer, just to the point to where you can stay in and do as much as you want to do, complete as many tasks as you want to complete, kind of borrow like the Gray Zone did, and let you turn in tasks on the fly and complete stuff and this, that, and the other.
and they could do it. One way they could do it is just with a maximum player count. Once it hits that maximum player, it just shuts that
True.
server off. Nobody can join that server till somebody else
Right.
leaves. That way, you're not just getting an overrun map with tons of players and just overloading
Yeah.
the server. Um, so there are ways to do it, and I almost wonder if Nikita doesn't have something like that cooking with 1.0 because he's even said
Potentially.
there's like a whole new game mode. That's kind of what he said. He said the way everybody copied Extraction Shooter, they're going to copy my next thing, and it's coming with 1.0. So it kind of makes me think he's got something like that going. I don't know if that's the route, but it seems like that's kind of the next step in a game like Tarkov or any extraction shooter is
You know,
allowing the person to go in and decide when
Just
they
survive.
leave.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, do what they want. It's more freedom, more time to just play, and instead
Well,
of
and
resetting, going to your stat. It's just stay in the
right.
server, have some fun.
Another thought I had on like for traversal is with the introduction of the labyrinth on shoreline, potentially adding something to traverse from map to map that way too. Like you have to clear shoreline, go through the I already forgot the name of the place.
Labyrinth.
Labyrinth. You have to go clear the labyrinth, or at least go from door to door to clear it, and then on to the next map, and then the next dungeon area, and then the next map or something. Like
Only
they
thing
could
with
find a
that
way to
though
keep it
is
fresh and fun and like interesting. But
that would be hard to have every player happen to do that, unless every
oh, that's
player had
true.
different things. You know what I mean? Unless
Individually loaded in or
yeah, you
something,
come in
or
with
a
like
maximum of
everybody.
5 or something. Yeah,
Yeah, like they have like I don't know, like 10 or 15 different ways to traverse a map, and each team
yeah.
or each person that
That
goes
way it
in gets
doesn't
assigned
get
a different one.
congested
Yeah,
and convoluted for sure.
yeah, that could for sure work. There's a lot of ways to do it. I just feel like it's far fetched because Tarkov's not built for that. It's not
No,
ready for that right now. But could it happen? I think it could. Will it happen? That's the question. And I don't know
not
if it needs it.
likely, but
I
potentially.
Yeah, I don't know if it needs
Right.
it. But I would love to play Tarkov in a Daisy environment. And yeah, we have Daisy with Tarkov mods, but it's still not the same.
I'd rather have
Um
Tarkov with DayZ mods, if I'm being
yeah,
completely
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
I
But
love
like,
DayZ, don't get me wrong, but
well,
Tarkov just is way more immersive in the
yeah,
world wise. Like I love the look of DayZ, but Tarkov has that grit to it. It has that environmental detail that just really sucks you into it. And
well,
I like the grittiness for sure.
it
I think that's a
matters.
lot of
Like
it.
the game matters because you look at Gray Zone. It's pretty much what we're talking about is like a Gray Zone because Gray Zone is pretty much Tarkov in a persistent world, but
Yeah.
it's still not Tarkov in a persistent world, and that's why we
Right.
still want a Tarkov in a persistent world because
Yeah.
Gray Zone has
Yeah.
improved; it's much better, but it's still far from Tarkov. And
Yeah,
I
absolutely. Way off.
I feel like only Tarkov could do it, and make it the way I've been wanting it to be. Because when I play
For sure.
DayZ, I always do that. Even when I play Gray Zone, same thing. Like I always just think Tarkov will be awesome like this, but it's got to be Tarkov. It can't be
Yeah, it can't
the
be
other
anything else.
games. Yeah, yeah. So
Has to be
we can
Tarkov.
hope. We can hope. That's all I can say.
Well,
Like I don't think it's
and it may not
impossible.
be in the cards for this Tarkov or Escape from Tarkov. Maybe a Tarkov 2 situation, or maybe the Russia 2028 situation, or maybe just a
Right.
completely different title that's spun off of this story. Who knows? But I could see a future where we get the Tarkov world in depth and everything, and put into a persistent world. I think that
Yeah.
would be pretty cool. And
Well,
I would love to see it. Like you said, I'd love to see it.
Battle State, they have talked about it, because there was a time where they were talking about map every map being connected all into one, which that still could have been a language barrier. That could have been Nikita talking about the map transitions and
The
us
map
thinking he meant
transitions, yeah.
every map connected, as in
Open
no
world,
loading
yeah.
screen. You just go from one
Right.
map. Because technically they are all connected. You look at a map of Tarkov, they all fit perfectly. You can see the other maps from the map you're on.
From
You
the map,
can
yeah.
yeah, you can go to any map and look around the borders and you will see the next map. Like it's perfectly built for that. So there's a possibility that that's still in the works. Like that could be the big thing. That could be the big thing he's talking about.
Hey, it
So
absolutely could.
yeah, it could work. That would be very tough on like
It would probably be a much
hardware.
more reduced player count, and it would be a way more reduced asset load, I would imagine.
Yeah, it would be AI scaled back. It would be probably just the
It would
items in
run
general scaled
rough.
back, like loot. Yes, it would be very,
Yeah,
very hard to run.
you would have to
But
lose a lot of the stuff we love to have in Tarkov, but I think it's doable.
yeah, yeah, you never know.
They could and we don't know what they're working on for, 5 years from now or whatever, so it's like that's always open to change. But yeah,
Yeah,
would we do we wanna see it? You're goddamn right. You goddamn right we wanna see it. I mentioned this a second ago, but what are some things that Tarkov could do better or specifically borrow from other games? Excuse me. There's also, I guess we can kind of wrap this into one. What can Tarkov do better or borrow specifically from other games? And why doesn't BSG do more of their random events or bring back old events that were very well received? Why is it? It always feels like they're kind of holding back. And sure, there's the whole 1.0 argument, but with a lot of these events and stuff that they have done, it doesn't make a lot of sense not to reintroduce them, especially like
Right.
you were saying, with the bonfire event or the Zerachi event, stuff like that.
Yeah, there's been a
Um,
lot of cool events that we've seen it once and then never seen it again. And it does feel like they've always been weird about spicing things up like permanently. Like they'll do a short event, but if you're like, hey, maybe you should make that a permanent thing where, one time a week this or this happens, it just seems like they've never been like okay with that. And I don't know why.
yeah,
Um but like we said earlier, it could have something to do with 1.0. It could be something that's part of the package coming with 1.0. And every time we've got to try them out, that's been them testing it to see how it's going to work, see how it's going
see
to
how it's
feel.
gonna work, see if
Yeah, and
people
they
like
don't
it or
want
not,
to.
what they need to
Yeah,
change.
they don't
Yeah,
want to make it a normal thing because that's one of the big features. It's like if everybody
right.
gets it now, then it's not going to be something cool when
Well,
1.0 hits.
yeah,
So
and that's true because look at zombies, right? Like we all freaked out when zombies dropped. We thought it was
yeah,
the coolest shit ever. After a few days to a week of it, 2 weeks into it, we're like, all right, it was fun, but I want to play
yeah,
Tarkov again. Like I want my
yeah.
regular Tarkov back. So like a
Well,
non, but there are some events that if they brought back, like you said, sporadically throughout the weeks,
yeah, that's why it's
would be really
rotational.
interesting. That especially now when it's like kind of dry, not a lot to
Yeah,
do. You've already got your tasks done. You're level 40 to 60 or whatever you may be. And it's
if
like you're just kinda
if
chilling.
like 2 times a day rotating in and out, like 6 hours a piece on each map. They had just a random event where cultists were, upset and they didn't care that it was night anymore or that it was daytime, so they're just going to come out in the daytime. I don't know, some stupid reason for cultists to come out in the daytime. If they just did that or something, and you got cultists on, each and every
On
map.
every map,
Well,
yeah.
not
Or
not
like
at the same time, you know what I mean? Like
no.
move it around where
Yeah, it rotates from
to,
map to map, like, but
today for
any
4
map is
hours on
susceptible to it.
customs, they're there, and then 4 hours later they rotate to shoreline, and then 4 hours later they rotate to factory, and you know what I mean? Like have it do something like that. It doesn't have to be cultists, but any enemy, any reason you can have something happen, create a little lore. You have different things that can happen in the world. You got airdrops, you
You
got
got yeah, I was gonna say
uh
USEC had an airdrop fly in, uh, between the border of the or, between the lines, between
yeah,
enemy lines,
yeah,
behind enemy lines, something like that, and they want it back. So there's this big
right.
gang war of USEC and USEC and, Bear, AI that are just going at it, and you can get caught up in the crossfire, you can get run up on, you can
Right.
walk in on, like, a big 5v5 match popping off, like,
Well, and
a
then
whole area just knocked off the map, like, there's just a lot they could
we
do.
had the mortar event. We could have
Yeah,
another thing like
yeah.
that where a bunch of mortars get dropped in, and oh, okay, well, this map has mortars going off, but it also has like rogues fighting raiders trying to get the mortars from them to stop them from using. Like they could make so many reasons for the map to switch it up,
Yeah,
and as long as you rotate it, people can still play the map normally. It keeps everything fresh. It just gives a new life to all the things, all the maps that we're just playing that are just the same thing over and over and over and over. And it's like
right.
it's doable because they've done it. They've done plenty of things like that, so we know they can do it. They always get praise when they do things like that. Everybody's always talking about the events are usually too short, and
Right.
I'm talking almost universally praised. Like, so it's not
Yeah,
something that
absolutely.
they have to be afraid of. It seems like it's a no brainer, but we never really get it. And other newer games in the genre are doing that. Like we was just playing Active Matter. Active Matter had different versions of each map. Like you would have an overgrown version that has more of the flowermen, which will completely destroy you. And they also have the like flowermen bosses on there
But
too. And
yeah,
then you
and then
have
there's
the
the distorted
distorted version.
maps.
Yeah,
Yeah,
then
they
you
have a
have the
bunch more of the
silent
distorted
people, the stone
figures.
people. Yeah,
Yeah.
there's just so many. And this is a
There
game
was
in
one
beta, like
yeah.
testing, and they've already did that. That's going to be part of the package. I feel like uh there was Delta Force. They were doing that where there were some maps you had to pay to get in, but they had extra enemies. The enemies were harder. They had more bosses, and there was another game that did it too. Arena Breakout. They were doing that. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Where
ABI.
and it's like some of the games that I don't really care for. That's one thing they did right, and it was just it's a good way to keep it fresh. It's nice for the players because they don't have to do the same thing over and over and over, and it's something that you can have fun with as a developer. You can make new things up. You can just get crazy with it. There's some crazy stuff that
And you
makes
can
no
just try
sense.
shit.
Well, like
Yeah,
I said, throw cultists in at daytime for some reason because they're mad at
right.
Lightkeeper because he didn't send them a freaking bomb. Or I
Cultist
don't know.
takeovers on maps,
Yeah, it's like
fucking
there's so many things you
random
could go.
airdrop events, once a day, FEMA sending a bunch of airdrops, supplies like crazy, so like you can make up anything. You can
And
do anything, you really can.
the community would love that. It would spice things up and everybody would be playing again. It would be such a cool thing. And I don't understand why they haven't used that like as a thing
Yeah,
more,
it doesn't make a lot of
especially
sense.
Well, especially
Well,
with the capability, because it's like they
right.
already have done it. Like they've had all
Yeah.
bosses on the same map, all bosses on streets, all bosses on shoreline. All the bosses have the ability to go to any map and do anything. So it's
Yeah.
like they could do it, and I just feel like they're missing an
Do you think
opportunity.
the only way that I can see it relatively justified is how we had approached it earlier was that it was all for testing purposes. Each
Yeah,
holiday, each year, you get new events, but it is all for testing to see what servers can handle, what players like, dislike, this, that, and the other.
yeah,
And it's something that they're holding for 1.0, where we're going to see
yeah.
events
That's
way more
possible.
consistently. But I don't know. But yeah, is there anything else that you can think that would be well borrowed from another game? Like we've heard people talk about Downstate. We brought it up last week, and we weren't really
Yeah,
fans of
not a
that.
fan.
That kind of breaks the loop. But is there anything that you like that you would like to see Tarkov introduce, even if it's something that hasn't been suggested or BSG would most likely say no to? Um, and viewers, this is for you guys too. If there's something that you think would be really cool in Tarkov that fits really well from another game or just something in your own mind, what is it? Let us know what you think that might be, because
Yeah,
that's something
yeah,
I've been curious about, especially with Tarkov community coming around. Is like a lot of people have really good ideas, and a lot of people just have really cool ideas. And some of those things may be unrealistic for the game, but it's still a cool idea, and I'd still be curious as to know what you have come up with.
yeah. And it's still
Um,
worth putting out there because it can happen. Like there's some things that I just guarantee you people haven't thought of yet, and if they, actually made sense, the devs might consider it,
I would like to see us being able to take from DayZ's laydown and rollover actions and
Oh
things
yeah,
like that, be able to
absolutely.
shoot from our
Yeah.
backs, stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the things I would love to see in Tarkov that I just don't know if it would happen.
I mean,
It could be. There's potential for it, but
it
I just
could,
don't
yeah.
know if they would.
Cuz it's Daisy's like it's sit, lay down, roll over. That is pretty uh it's pretty rare. You don't see that very often in games.
No, you
And
do not.
but Daisy does it very well. Obviously getting it from Arma. Arma used it because it's
It's a
a
mil
tactical
sim, yeah,
military sim. Yeah, so it's like
yeah.
you obviously need that, but then bringing it over to Daisy, it makes the game better. So it's like I feel like you could put that in almost any shooter and it's going to make the game better. So it might just
Yeah.
be a
Yeah.
lack of developers thinking that we need it. You know what I mean? Because the only reason
Right.
it's in DayZ is because it was in Arma. So otherwise, I think if DayZ was just built from the ground up, it probably wouldn't have been in DayZ. But because it is
But it
there,
is a
it
really
makes
cool
us realize how cool it
tool.
is. Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
great. Like, it's great if you're laying down and you're doing something, you're laying down on your stomach, you hear someone running behind you, you can instantly, instead of standing up,
Roll over.
yeah, you just spin around. ADS spin
Yeah.
around, you're good. It's and like
And the
there's
fact that you
even
can
like
roll. Imagine if we
yeah,
could
yeah,
roll
you
in
can
Tarkov.
roll.
There's times where I'm trying to sneak around, and even if it's a little bit louder, like they can't see me. So I'd be fine with it. I would love to be able to roll in Tarkov,
There's
especially when
even a
it's like
kicking.
I'm in a bush and there's like a weird spot I'm in. I'd like to roll and be able to get to an open area to shoot. You know what I mean? Like that would be cool.
Well, even
Um,
when you're on your back, you know what I mean? Like if someone comes running up on you and you don't have a weapon, you can kick in DayZ. Like you can just start kicking them. Like it's a
yeah, that
cool
shit's
feature.
awesome.
It hardly ever gets used, but it's cool. It's cool just to have.
Yeah, it's there and it's cool. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I don't have a lot of fresh ideas. The idea I threw up got used, so I was happy with that too. It was weekly boss rotation. I was like, hell yeah, we need
Yeah,
that.
there's not a
Um,
ton. There really isn't.
Because
Like a lot of
they
the
Tarkov's
things,
added a lot of stuff. BSG has done a
yeah,
good job about adding the things that the players want and need,
yeah.
over time. So they do a good job on it. But I would like to see it, and I think it is a little far fetched to ask for, but I would like to see it,
The
being able to roll
only
over on your back.
thing
Just
I could think of is I would like to see just a system where you can use your fist. If you come up to somebody, you don't have to pull a melee out. You can just punch them. Like
yeah,
if you want to fist fight, you can fist fight. I think that would be a cool addition, just because it makes no sense because you're a
there's no
trained,
downstate, and
yeah, you're a
yeah,
trained soldier. You should 100% be able to fight someone. And
right,
there are times where it's like I feel like it would just be cool to punch it out, just like in DayZ. There's times where a fist fight just, it's just the right thing to do, and that would
yeah.
be cool in Tarkov. I don't know if we'll ever get it. I kind of doubt it, but
No, because I mean, like you could just knife fight, right? And the melee's always there. They like make sure you always have a melee. But for
yeah.
those zero to hero runs, dude, there's been opportunities where we could have absolutely bashed some
Well,
heads.
imagine
You know what I
going
mean?
up and grabbing a scab and choking him out, or just knocking him out from behind. Like that would be cool. That would be just a good addition to the game. It wouldn't like break anything. It wouldn't break anything like reality wise. Like it's 100% normal for that to happen if you're a trained freaking soldier. Like you know how to fight. So
Yeah, yeah. I would like to see it too. Honestly, I think it would be pretty cool,
yeah,
and
I
it
don't
would
think
be
it hurt to try.
useful because we want to do true zero to heroes with no
Well,
melee,
and
which we
sometimes
do. But being able to punch
the
would be just the icing on the cake.
yeah, and sometimes the knife fights can be kind of wonky. It's like sometimes
Yeah,
you jump and duck and just get that hit in at the right time. It's like fist fights feel more straight up. It's like, you can go up and
you
challenge
land your
someone to a
shots or you
fight.
don't. Yeah,
Yeah, and you just fight. It's like
yeah,
the knife fights are fun, but it's like sometimes you just get that one lucky shot and it just doesn't feel as
yeah.
I don't know.
They can be a little
But
goofy. And a
yeah, there's
little
not
one-sided, like, if you have the wrong
yeah.
melee and somebody
Yeah,
else is
yeah.
rocking something good, like, you're in a rough spot.
But there's not a lot that
No.
I'm really missing in Tarkov. Like, there's always going to be things I think of every now and then that I forget because I know there's other things I've thought of, and I'm like, yeah, that'd be cool, and then I forget
Oh,
about it.
absolutely right. Yeah.
But yeah, like just off the top of my head, there's nothing I can think of, especially like other games. The only thing I can think of like other games do is insurance wise. What they do is if you're with somebody, say we go in a raid and you get killed, instead of me grabbing your stuff and picking it up, well, I can grab your stuff and pick it up, but instead of me keeping it, it just goes straight to you. It gets mailed to you. Instead of me taking it to my stash, having to bring it in for you, you just get it right back. As long as I get it out of raid, it goes mailed right back to your stash. That's kind of a cool. But it also makes it where you can't troll your friend and steal his gun and drop it through the map.
Right, drop it through the map and lie and say you didn't steal
Yeah,
it when you stole it.
yeah, stupid AK.
Yeah, that was
Yeah,
okay, that was wild. I still think he stole my gun, by the way.
I did not steal your
Uh,
gun. It went through the map.
no, I died, and he put my stuff. He's like, "I'm gonna stash your stuff," and
I
he's
dropped it
like,
under a tree. I swear I did.
"Yeah." And then I was like, "What happened to my AK?" Like, a day or 2 later, and he was like, "What do you mean I sent it?" I was like, "No, no, you didn't. It dropped through the map." Actually, no, it was in raid. You were like, "It dropped through the map,"
Yeah, I went back to
because you
get
went to
it.
drop something else there or
Yeah,
something.
I
Yeah, yeah,
dropped
that's what it
it and I
was.
went back to get it and everything was gone. Like the gun and a few other things, everything was gone. Um, cause yeah, we had fought someone and I dropped your stuff to go loot the other guy, and when I come back to get your stuff, it was just gone.
Yeah, that's what
Um,
it was.
but yeah, like I don't know, like would that be a better way to do it instead of having you and me having to come back in raid and I got to carry all your stuff and drop it to you?
All my stuff, drop it to me. Yeah,
Would it be better just to get it back instantly?
maybe.
Maybe.
Maybe
But
there's a
here's
way,
the other
like, if they're
thing.
on your friends list, you just can, like, click a button and send it
That's
to
what I was
them.
about to say. An option. If you get an option, if
Yeah.
it's somebody you were in raid with, if you were in that raid with them, you have the option to send it to them or not, because they might not want it back, and maybe you needed that gun and they're dropping it for you. Because that's the other thing. In those games, you can't
Yeah,
drop
that's
them a
true too.
weapon and then extract and keep that weapon. It always goes back to
Right,
the guy. So
right.
a little option would probably be a cool thing. Like, hey, I don't want this. It's just gonna be tedious for me to pack it back in raid and drop it for them again. Just send it to their stash. Or option, I just want to keep it because they don't want it back. That would be a
Right.
good middle ground.
I think so. I think that would be pretty cool. I think that could maybe work for sure.
What do you
Um,
think about
I think it's an interesting topic one way or another. I don't know which way it would go, but I do like the
what
idea.
do you think about building bases and like getting like a car and like getting a job, stuff like that?
Um, in Tarkov
Yeah.
or like at grandma's?
No, in Tarkov.
Both? Oh. Okay, so with the idea of the persistent world, I do like the idea of not necessarily building a base, but having a home sector. Like, this is my stash, right? Like this house on streets, whatever, this apartment, this fucking building, this grocery store. This is the area I'm choosing to like lock my goods up in this filing cabinet area. I'm choosing like that's my stash spot. This is like my hangout. Like you can kind of like mark your territory essentially. Like this is my spot, and maybe it's not something that the whole server knows is your spot, so they can come raid it. But like when you want to go back out when you're done for the day, or like you want to go drop stuff off, you have to go back to Goshen on streets, right? Or you have to go to Idea on interchange, or you got to go to customs to the new area up in that one back room. Like anywhere. You just like pick an area, you set something in something, like there's crates around in certain spot. I don't know how they would do it, or
Yeah,
if
as I
it's even
said,
something they would do. But just like
no,
a little area you can like call your in-world base, like it's your stash while you're in raid doing your persistent stuff, so you have a place to
no,
store your
no. They
things
have talked about
because
that. They have talked about that. Drop boxes, basically. You have a drop box
yeah,
to drop your loot. Yeah, yeah. You have a drop box to drop your loot, and you can stay in raid. Get rid of all
some
the
way
stuff
to
you're
let you
carrying.
yeah,
Yeah, get rid
exactly.
of all the stuff you're carrying. Drop that. It goes safely back. Which you can already do that now. You can do that at the
When you go to
ma- yeah,
transition, yeah.
yeah, transition points. Yeah, you can do that. Now it doesn't always
I
work, and there's only
would
a limited amount you
yeah,
can
it's
do.
limited to what you can do, yeah.
Or the
Um
BTR driver also provides that service, but same thing. It doesn't always work,
Limited,
and
and you
it's
got
limited.
yes, yeah, yeah. I was thinking like something
And
akin to oh my gosh, uh, it had the or the dark zone in it,
the
and
division,
the division. I was thinking something like that, where it was like a player hub, even
yeah,
where it's a safe zone inside this certain area. You go in, you can do your loot, your selling, your buying, and drop off at your stash and all that. And then when you head back out to the world, like it's you're just back out in the world. But I
right,
mean,
right,
like
right.
obviously these things aren't feasible for Tarkov, but I think they're things that would be cool for Tarkov.
Well, and
As for like building a base and being able to like have supplies and shit like that, I hope I don't see that in
yeah,
Tarkov. I think it could be interesting, but
well, just to
I
make
hope I
it
never see
clear,
the day that it's like
that
a
was
Daisy mod. Like, yeah,
100% a joke. I do not
yeah,
want a
yeah.
house, a base, a car, a job. I was just
He
being
wants a
dumb, but
job. He wants a job in Tarkov. He wants to be a weapons vendor. He wants to work for
I
mechanic.
mean,
He's already told me,
I would
and he
work,
does want a car. He has his
yeah.
eyes on the one at Customs on top of the building. It's a little blue one.
Hey, that one's been up there since that update, and I think I want to get it down. If
And
they
he
would
does
have,
want a house. He wants Sturman's cottage. He
they
said
got a
the locks
crane
work.
right over there too, so it's like they're begging me to drive the crane over, grab the car.
They want you to buy the car so they can get in the crane and deliver it to you.
Well,
You don't get to drive the crane. You get to
however,
drive the
however
car.
it happens, I'm down for it.
But yeah, and then he wants to buy Sturman's cottage,
Yeah,
or Sanitar's cottage. Either one. He just likes the woodland areas.
I just love cottages,
He does like cottages. He's a cottage man.
cottage cheese, cottage
Houses.
men. No, not houses.
But yeah, I don't know. There's a lot they could do with Tarkov, right? There really is.
There
They
is,
could take
there
it in a
is.
lot of different directions. There's a lot of silly things that we could speculate, like, hey, they should add this. This would be hilarious, right? But when it comes down to it, I think Tarkov, outside of the satire stuff and the jokes and all that,
Right.
I think Tarkov is in a place where it's where it needs to be. It's what it needs to
Yeah.
be. Like,
Yeah.
sure, there's things I'd like to see them add just for quality of life, like laying on your
It's
back and
fine
this,
where
that, and
it's
the
at.
other. But
If nothing changes, it's fine.
I do like the idea of the persistent world. I just don't know how it would work.
Yeah, the persistent
Again,
world
I think that's just
and
a
the
different title. I think it's just
yeah,
another BSG
yeah. It
title,
might have to be
just
a
a
whole new
different build.
game.
Yeah.
But the events, the random,
Yeah, that
normal,
needs added.
everyday events where it's pretty, constant.
Yeah.
and it just, give the maps
Minor
a
events that
a
aren't doing anything
makeover.
crazy.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
just give the whole raid just a different feeling, a different makeover. Even if it's weather related, like once they add more extreme weather, give us some blizzards, give us some extreme thunderstorms. Like, just give us something to where each raid doesn't feel like the last. It doesn't always. Like, we want normalcy sometimes, definitely, like when you're
you
trying
know
to do
what?
things, but not all the time.
I just had an
What?
idea of something
What?
that they could borrow from a game, and it's from DayZ as well. They could do the
Okay.
gas. They could do the gas canisters.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
They could,
And
gas
they
out certain
did.
areas of the
They
map,
did.
and
They
that's
have.
true. They did,
Yeah,
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 and
they
that was a
did
really
that.
cool event too. I
Yeah,
forgot about that
yeah.
event
Yep,
entirely. That one was really
yep.
cool.
That's what I'm saying, man.
Um,
They've experimented with so many cool things. Like, they've had so many cool events, and it was like a one-time
for sure.
thing. So that very
Hopefully,
well
fingers
could
crossed with
be.
1.0. Yeah, that's what
Yeah,
they're
I
doing is
think
just setting
that
it up.
I think all of those things could have just been tests just to see, like, hey, if we're going to implement this in 1.0, we got to at least try it once. So let's make an event, throw it out there, use it for however long we need until we get the data, and then we'll just save it for 1.0. No one's going to expect it. But that could be all the events we've seen could just be different
Laying down the
things that
groundwork. Yeah.
happen, constantly. Like, there's always something happening. You never know.
Yeah, I mean, according to a lot of the different things that you can find online and stuff, there is always something happening.
Right.
You
That's
know,
true.
Rizzy hasn't settled down once since his adventure started.
Well,
So it's like there's always some
and-
weird things happening in Tarkov, and it's got some weird stuff tied to the lore too.
that's the
So
other
it's
thing
like
is they can tie
there's
a
just
lot more
like
of the lore at 1.0
yeah,
also. You know what I mean? Like, make a lot more meaningful things that have to do with the actual story.
right, yeah, and make it tie those events to it a little bit better and
Right.
tighten up a little bit. I am excited to see that too. Is like how this whole story of Tarkov that's been building over the years finally comes together. Even if this is just like the prelude to what is to come, right? Like, the next title is like the finish of the story or something.
Well, I put it
Uh,
this way: whenever we escape Tarkov on the hovercraft, we got to go somewhere. So
right. Time to go raise hell in mainland Russia
yeah, yeah,
with normal people, but we just think they're all scavs now.
yeah, yeah. I think every
But yeah,
Russian
I
is a
am
scav.
curious to see where it goes. I am curious to find like it's a never-ending question with Tarkov, like what's next? And I love that. I do love it because there's other
Yeah.
games that I picked up and played, even games that I've put quite a bit of time into. And I got to a point after, 3 years that it's just like, okay, something's next, but I don't care. I don't care because you weren't able to keep the immersion. You weren't able to keep them locked in. You weren't able to keep the story interesting. It became too obvious, too boring, too this, too that. But with Tarkov, man, they just do a really good job of giving you just enough.
Yeah.
Like, just enough to keep you like, "Man, I can tie this to this, but I can't bring it all together." And
Well, and
that's
when they
really cool.
do
That's
change
really awesome how
something,
they have done it.
it matters, and that's
Yeah,
why
that's
it
true.
continues to, like, and they don't overdo it. I think that's part of it is they are cautious about how often they do things, so they don't, like, just make it where it's
Burn
like,
people
oh, okay,
out
that
or
again,
yeah.
yeah, that
Right,
again,
right.
again, like, oh, you're just gonna keep doing that, like. But I think there's a fine balance, and possibly all of that could be because of 1.0. I
Which
really,
makes the most sense.
yeah, I've
It does.
really settled on that I believe a lot of this is just going to be because 1.0 is going to have a lot of that stuff that we've been asking for. And
Yeah,
that's the only real reason it makes sense to not do it right now. Because there's really no other reason. Because, like I said, it's popular. It's nothing but good for the game. It increases the player base. It keeps people happy. Tarkov's in the news. People are talking about it. Like, so
yeah.
there's really no downside. So it has to be something like that.
I agree. I agree 100%. And hopefully we're right. I mean, genuinely, hopefully we're correct on that. I
I mean, we're
am
usually right. So
still yeah, I've never been wrong. Um,
once.
if this is the second time that is the case that I might be wrong, uh, so be it. But I'm
Yeah.
still
Yeah.
excited to
I
know
doubt it.
what's coming and how they're doing it, and I can't wait. We've got a few weeks left, guys.
Yep.
We don't have an exact date. We know July. We know that we have the big cultist event in July as well.
Yeah.
So be ready. Start looking into maybe figuring out some time off work type situation. It's a little early to judge it, but you could also just let your employers know, be like, hey, mid-July, most likely, somewhere around that timeline. I'm gonna need a weekend or a few days or whatever it is. It's not like, "Hey, I know this is the day," because
Well,
we typically don't know that too early in advance, but definitely give a heads up.
July is listed as the cultist event, but then August is listed as the large scale in game event. Um,
Right.
so
Oh, that's true. We have a
I
patch in July.
yeah, patch in July that the cultist event comes with that, but then in August another patch, which is patch 16.9. So
Right.
that's right before what 17.0, aka 1.0. So
1.0, right.
I feel like whatever the large scale event is in August is probably going to run for a few months. August, September, October, November. So probably Christmas is probably going to be 1.0.
That makes the most sense.
Yeah,
That's
it's
usually how they like
2025.
to do it.
Yeah, it says
Yeah.
2025. 16.9 definitely will probably be a wipe. So we have to have a few more months of gameplay after the wipe. If it's
Yeah.
not the wipe, then there just won't be I don't see them dragging out this wipe that long. There has to be a wipe
Yeah,
between
that'd be
July and
wild,
August.
I would
Yeah.
imagine.
So I'm pretty sure August is going to have to be the wipe.
Potentially, yeah, most likely August, potentially in July. I would doubt it though. Yeah, I kind of wasn't thinking there. Middle, cut that bit out where I'm like, "Oh, get ready," because that's not the
Well, I
case.
mean, there's still a cultist event in July, so that's still going to
Well,
be cool because it actually
true.
has a cultist symbol beside it, and that's the only time they've put a symbol beside an event thing. So that
Yeah, that's
it's
interesting. That's
probably a
very
pretty big event
interesting.
too. Yeah,
I would imagine
it's
so. Yeah,
it's
it
probably
has to
the
be.
lead up to the big one, so there's probably still a lot going on.
Yeah, that's also a new thing they did was said large scale event.
Yeah, yeah.
Typically we don't even see the word event written anywhere. Like here's a
Well,
timeline. But
before
when they
like there
mention
are
events, they'll
ones.
just say there are events. There's
Yeah,
only
I
been
went
a
back and
couple that
looked
they've
just to
said
be
were
sure.
large scale though, right?
I went back and looked just to be sure because I was thinking about this. And before, the only thing they would ever list, it would say in-game event. The
In
only
game
time they
event. That's
changed
what it
that
was. Yeah.
was for July and August. July one says in-game event with the cultist symbol, and August says large scale
Large
in-game
and
event.
yeah.
So yeah, that's the
Which
only
sounds like
two
a
that have ever
wipe,
been changed.
potentially a wipe in August with a pretty cool event to start it off. I wouldn't be
Right.
surprised if they kind of like threw a bunch of shit at us early on just to be like, hey, here's this,
Yeah.
have fun,
Well,
1.0
that's the
December.
thing. I think it's going to transition. Like, I don't think 1.0 is going to be the whole change at once. I think part of that will be patch 16.9. That'll be a lot of 1.0 things getting ready. You
That
know what
would
I
make
mean? Like,
sense. That way you don't
yeah,
have a lot of framework stuff
right.
happening and a lot of weird shit going on Wipe Day
Well, and that's just the way
for
Tarkov
1.0.
goes. You know what I mean? Like, every wipe is adding, more for the next
More
and
and
for the
more for
next.
1.0,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So I feel like, and that's why I feel like they have so much that close together, two big patches, July and August, having 16.8 and 16.9 just in that short period. There's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff
because that is
that's going to
very
be
close.
added. Yeah,
Right.
yeah. And two big events that close, so
And
it's
then
probably just going to be a little bit of 1.0 in each one of those, and then finally,
the big like
1.0 in,
cutscenes, all the big
yeah.
changes and like major stuff. But yeah, I could see them adding the firearms and updating this and that, changing
Yeah, yeah,
movement, changing this,
weapons
fixing
and other
values,
things.
right?
Right.
Yeah, for sure. Um, but yeah, that's all I got for this week. Is there anything?
The only other thing I was gonna say is we just got finished playing the active matter playtest. It's a very fun
You
game.
know what? Yeah, let's talk
We
about that for a
released a
second.
video. Yeah, we released a video going over a lot of the things. It's basically Tarkov set in the Stalker universe, and we'll probably continue to make content once we get more access. We lose our access today, but we have a lot of stuff recorded, so we might put some more stuff out of it.
Yeah,
But yeah, it's another cool game. Very few of the newer games like get our attention and actually keep it. But I feel like this is a game that could if they make the right decisions and they do things right. So
yeah.
just
Well,
just
they are
want
on
to
the right track with a lot of the
yeah.
stuff. There are a few things I'd like to see fixed. One of those things is a kind of weird complaint, I think, but it's also kind of grounded. I believe, anyways. So here it is. Time to kill and damage per bullet seems a little iffy because it's like every single thing I kill is a reload almost. Even when I switched to the
Yeah.
40 round mags, like there was an instance where I killed 3 of the flower men, but they literally were on top of me. But a lot of the
Well,
times, like the time to kill, or maybe it's just bullet damage, which all kind of adds to time to kill or whatever. It just feels a little elongated and a little slow. Like I'm burning through 20 rounds, 15 rounds to kill some stuff. Also, SMG aim is horrendous.
yeah. They mentioned
Um,
that, someone mentioned that, and one of the developers responded and said, this is the way the game is intended to be. We want the game to be very PvE oriented, which means we want you to be fighting PvE enemies a lot. Headshots are lethal, but there's a problem. The movement in the game makes it where players and AI are very hard to hit in the head because you
yeah,
can move really strange. The movement's all weird. You can sit there and
yeah,
wiggle back and
like
forth.
sprint sideways, forward,
It's
backwards,
very,
lean left,
yeah,
lean right, jump, this,
it's
that.
that's the problem. It's very hard to be accurate. So with
Right.
them flower people, dude, those flower men,
Dude, they juke.
they have armor too on every part of their body. Like
Yeah,
you, when you
each fun
shoot them, you
chunk of that
break one
power
off.
flower
Yeah,
puffs are like, yeah, the
yeah,
bushes on them,
yes.
or yeah, their
So it's
armor.
like
Yeah,
it's like even with headshots, you still got to break the armor on the head, and it's so easy to go through full mags. Like I was taking in 5, 6 mags a lot of the times, and
I took 7 mags in and was just most of what I did the other day was just reloading, and that's
yeah.
not a joke. Like I genuinely spent a solid amount of time reloading.
Well, and this is
Um,
coming from playing solo. I know a lot of people play in groups,
right,
and it's much easier when you're in groups, but there needs to be a
of course,
balance for solos because it's
yeah.
definitely
With
hard.
the amount of
It,
enemies that are in the game, I don't
yeah,
think it hurts anything to reduce the time to kill.
well, and that's the other thing that they did say is they're experimenting with the number of AIs right now. I didn't play the last test, but from what everyone said is there's way more enemies this playtest than there were last playtest. So it's something that they're working on, obviously getting feedback from this playtest.
That's
So
fair.
I'm hoping that's something that they're going to tune up, which developers have said so. You know what I mean? That's what this all was for. That's what they
Yeah, I mean
want
that's why they
feedback.
do the
Yeah,
playtest. Yeah.
yeah, it's what they want. But
Um,
you're right though. There needs to be the movement
the
needs smoothed out so you can hit, if you
for
can
sure the
hit
movement is
headshots,
rough.
yeah, if you can hit headshots, then that makes it a lot easier. But as of right now,
Right.
especially with the AI, like other players, I had no issue really hitting headshots, but they can still be jukey. Like you can still, I was watching people do it in a video where they were just purposely trying to move their head around as much as they could.
Right.
And they were almost impossible to hit because it's just
Yeah, I don't doubt
constant
it.
movement.
Yeah,
So,
I believe it. It can be a
yeah,
lot. Well, and if somebody's using like an SMG or an AK or something like that, so I guess that brings me into my next thing I'd like to see fixed or at least worked on. The recoil control is horrendous, and the point of view
yeah,
while trying to mitigate your
it's
recoil
the
is
camera
also
recoil.
horrendous. Yeah, so
It's
they
like
need
Tarkov
to.
was before they got the patch, like before
True,
the
very
recoil
true.
patch.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Actually worse, I think.
Probably worse. I think,
Yeah.
specifically with SMGs, it is practically impossible. You line up your first shot, you pull the trigger, and it just the back end of the gun shoots up. The camera's wobbling. It's like
Yeah.
really hard to control and keep track of.
I don't
Camera wobble or camera recoil should come down a bit, and I think that recoil reduction needs to be a thing. But at the same
yeah.
time, more customization into the guns to just let us build into bringing that recoil down. Like, sure, base SMG can be as rough as you want, but like as we add the parts to it
Yeah.
and as you allow us to add more parts to it, that recoil can be brought down to where it's a manageable
Well,
position. Like that way, if I have a suppressor, pistol grip, foregrip, sight, it's a lot more manageable compared to just grabbing an SMG and free balling it while trying to full
yeah.
auto.
And it's
Um,
like make the game
but
hardcore,
we
that's
need the
fine, that's
options.
perfect, but don't make it frustrating where you can't
Correct.
ADS, you can't aim without your arms getting so tired that you can't hold your gun straight after 3 seconds. If you try to bolt action, they are awful. As soon
Dude, they
as you
suck. Yeah,
aim,
it's
dude,
rough.
like
You're
your
wore
arm
out.
stamina drains within like 2 seconds. You
Well,
cannot,
no matter how you
even when
level,
you have arm stamina, you cannot steady a scope completely. It just won't.
no,
And that's
no, it
one of
will
the
not.
developers was like, well, we want it to be hardcore. And another guy's like, that's fine, but that's not the way to do it. Like
No.
punishing
Make the enemies
people's
hard.
aim, making people have to like get frustrated with their aim is not how you make a game hardcore.
No,
That just frustrates people. So they got to work on that.
it
That definitely
does.
needs work.
Um, yeah, so I guess that's another thing is that there's no skill leveling either. So it's like as much as I play, no matter how far I get, no matter what level I am, monolith, this, that, or the other, outside of like your chrono genes, which only get you so far, there's no real way of leveling your arm stamina. So even when I'm level 20 or 25, 30, 15, 18,
Well,
whatever,
there's two ways. There are two ways. Like you said, when you level, you get you get a perk every time you level up, and then
right?
you
And there's a
also
potential for a
create,
small amount of increase. Yeah.
yeah, a small amount. But the way you get the big increase is when you find the blueprint. You create the little thing, the little where you throw things in that thing and you mix them
Chrono
together and
gene.
you come up. I don't think that's what it's called, but
Are you
maybe
talking
it
about the
is. I don't know.
recipes to make the chrono genes?
The recipes that
The
come up with
chrono
the
genes are the
blueprints.
augments that change your character. That you can put like down on the bottom left, you have your character select screen, right? Like you
Yeah,
can choose your
yeah,
skin,
yeah,
your
yeah.
sleeve, and then you have your augments. Those are chrono genes.
Okay, well, those you get some for leveling up, but you get others that you create and you got to like figure
Yeah,
out, and
yeah,
it's
yeah,
all
yeah,
luck. And that there are
yeah. You
ways
just
to get,
throw random shit
because
in.
some guys were pulling out level 3, level like high level ones that were given like 10%, less arm drain, and I'm like, okay,
And
that
that is
actually is
good.
cool. Yeah, like but that's not.
That's all
It's
luck based, though,
random.
like you said.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
random. Yeah, it does so they need to
Skill
make that where
leveling
it's earnable.
also lets players decide how to level their character, like how to play their character. Like
Yeah,
Tarkov does a
instead
really good
of
job about that with
random ones.
originality. Like there's only so much you can do, sure, but not everybody goes and maxes out their search skill to where they can instant ping a bag or a backpack or a jacket or whatever. Like that was something we wanted to do. Not every player goes and maxes out their strength. Not every player goes and maxes out their metabolism. Like having those skill options to be like, I'm doing this, I'm working on this. Like it just adds another layer of
Yeah.
gameplay. And I think
But
active
yeah,
matter could benefit from that too.
it's in a good space right now. It's got a very good premise. Like the whole concept
For
is really
sure, dude. It's
cool.
such a cool twist.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah, it's definitely got it's got potential to be a very good game. The world, the lore, everything's kind of cool. Like everything, it really is built in Stalker universe. Like that's the lore. It's in the Stalker universe,
yeah,
and it's
yeah.
extraction shooter. So it's got a lot of things going for it. It's probably still going to need some work. I don't think it's quite ready. There's
It
definitely
definitely
some
needs
things
work,
that need fixed. Yeah, but that's the
but
beauty of
player
doing play
feedback
tests.
and
Yeah,
play
yeah,
tests
yeah.
exactly. Yeah, they can tweak values and get everything set up. But like you
I'm
said, it
willing
is
to
in a
ride
good
with them for
place.
a while. Until
Absolutely.
they get it right.
Um, I have enough faith in the idea of this game that we signed up for the creator partnership with them, and we got approved for that. And it's like we want to make content on this game. We do want to cover it a bit.
Yeah,
It is really cool. It's similar enough to Tarkov, DayZ style type games, and the
it's very
gameplay
fun.
loop is fun. It's very unique and it's very refreshing.
Yeah,
We don't typically put our name to like games. Like we'll play stuff, we'll check stuff out, but outside of Tarkov and DayZ, like
yeah.
they're just games.
That's
These are
really the
things that
only
we
games we've
genuinely
ever
enjoy. Active
like.
Matter's creeping up into that list for me
It
though,
is.
because
It is. It's a
as
good
hard
game.
as it is and as frustrating as it is with the things that are problems right now, it's still very good and very
Yeah,
playable and a lot of fun.
and they got a lot of maps. They got a lot of weapons. They got a lot of things in there already. So they've definitely
The
put a lot of work into it, and it's
the traversal, the idea for
yeah,
like the
it's
twists and
a
stuff,
lot of
how
cool
the
ideas. A lot
anomalies
of
and
cool
stuff.
ideas.
Yeah. Yeah. They got something cool there for sure.
They've made it their
Um
own, and that's why it kind of stands out. It's not just your
yeah.
cookie cutter extraction shooter. It's got a lot of new things that you really haven't seen.
Yeah, it's not an ABI copy of Tarkov. It's not, a gray zone, which is good, but kind of leaned away from the extraction genre because they realized they weren't cutting the cake on
Well,
that end of it and they
you know
went
what's
for a
funny
more open
is
world idea.
Gray Zone is also supposed to be set in the Stalker universe.
Yeah, that one feels disconnected.
Well, that's what that
But
big
we still haven't seen the anomaly yet,
yeah,
right?
that's
Like
the
we
big
still don't know what
anomaly
the
in the
massive
center.
fucking thing, yeah.
When
So
that's
that
supposed to
that
be
still
the
has a
next
ways to go
update.
too.
Yeah, it's supposed to be the next
Nice.
update is they bring in some of the lore and some of the mission updates, and Ground Zero is supposed to
Start to
be,
bring it in together, yeah.
yeah, stalkerish, alienish.
But yeah, keep
But
an eye
yeah,
on
but
Active
yeah.
Matter, guys. Sign up for playtests as they pop up. It's really cool. It's a lot of fun. Um,
Yeah, this one just
yeah,
ended.
that's
It ended. Actually, it's going to end today. I don't know if it's quite done yet, but by the time this comes out, it'll be over unless they extend it, which is possible. I heard they did extend the last one a little while, so um, don't know when the next one will be. There's been rumors that they're just going to launch into early access, and I don't know how true that is, but we will see. If they did that, that's fine with me. You know, charge a
Yeah,
reasonable price. Don't be outrageous. Don't try to charge $60 like it's a finished game. If they play it right, it could turn out to be a very good game.
100%.
Yeah.
And I think they've got a pretty good head on it. I think they're doing all right.
Yeah.
As
Yeah.
long as
They've
they keep
clearly
taking
done a
ideas from the
lot right.
community and really, stay relatively transparent and
Yeah.
keep updating in the right direction. Like they're already got so far and the amount of time that they put into it, and we're still, that was a still in the playtest phase. So it's I have confidence in the game. I really do. And if
The
it flops, whatever, my bad. But I
the
think it's worth checking out. I think you
developers
guys would be interested in it.
are called, I think they're called
Gaijin
Matter.
Studio.
Matter. No, that's the publisher.
Oh yeah,
The
Gaijin's the
developers,
publisher.
I think, is called Matter Team, maybe. Um,
That
Actually,
actually sounds about
let me
right.
look that up real quick. Just want to be sure. But anyways, I have faith in almost everything I've heard from them except one thing. The only, like, I've been in the
The
Discord a lot, so
monetization features.
well, not even that, which that also scares me. But what the only thing I've seen the devs say was that thing about the aiming, where they're like, "Well, we want the aiming to be hard." So, and it's like that's not the way to go, making it where you can't hold your gun still and you can't, like,
No,
you
yeah,
got to
that's a
give.
bad model.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah,
hardcore.
it's
That's
Matter
not
dot Team runs
fun.
it.
Okay, Matter Team. Yeah, Matter Team. So yeah, that's the only thing I've seen from them that was kind of like, I don't like that. Everything
Not a
else
big
has
fan of that,
been,
yeah.
yeah, but everything else has been great. So that's why
And
I
I
still have
think even
faith.
though if that's what they want, or at least wanted, they may still cave because it is
Well,
a
no,
major problem. It's
absolutely.
it's
Yeah,
something that has to be fixed. Like I
there's enough
understand wanting
people
it to be a
talking
certain
about
thing,
it.
but
There's enough
take the
people
Tarkov
talking about
approach,
it.
make it
I I think it'll change their mind. Like, I don't think
yeah.
they're tied to that, but that, like I'm saying, that's a good thing because that's the only thing they've said that I've been like, whoa. Everything else has
Yeah,
been good.
yeah.
Everything else they've been 100% like already knowing where it should go. Like no one even had to tell them. Everything else they've already been ahead of it. That's the one thing where it's like, hey, you guys need to really come back and take a look at this. So if that's the kind of thing they're already on, like that's the way they're already thinking about the game, then I think we're in good hands
Yeah,
for
I think
this
we're in
one.
a good spot. Yeah, I think so. But yeah, that's
But
that's
like you
everything I
said, the
got for this
Gaijin
week.
thing is there. It is there. They do highly monetize their games. But like I said, this is a different dev team. Gaijin is the publisher, so they are going to control a lot of the money issues. We just got to hope they don't monetize it to death. That's they're saying they're not going to. Everyone's said please don't
Well,
do it. They've said that they're not
having
going to.
a
So
super monetized store is perfectly fine if you want to sell skins and cosmetics and like random stuff you can have in your stash or like little fucking pets. I don't
well,
give a shit about any of that. Go crazy on the monetization, but don't add pay to win mechanics. That's what drives me nuts. Like a store is fine, make
that's
your money. Pay to win has to stay out of the game.
everything we're basing that on has been off free to play games. This is their first premium
This is
game.
a
This is the
paid
first
title,
one.
yeah.
Yeah, so this hopefully, from even what they've said, this should be monetized very differently. So we
Yeah.
just got to hope that they stick to that.
Fingers crossed. Yeah,
Yeah.
that is probably the one thing because I don't know. Some of you guys might be new. I take a very strong stance against pay to win mechanics. I don't play games that have pay to win mechanics for the most part. There are a few titles that I'll hop on and just check out and have fun with and enjoy, but I do not put any amount of time into anything that's like, especially
Or
egregious ones that are
yeah,
very predatory. I
don't
just I
promote
just
it.
don't. I'm
Just
anti. Yeah, I'm
there's no
against it.
reason to
It's just
play
not
games
what I
like
like.
that when there's so many other good games out there that don't do that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah.
So there's no reason to waste your time rewarding people that just
Be
take
valued for your
your money
playtime
for
and your
granted.
loyalty,
Yeah,
not for how much money you spend on their game.
if they're taking you for granted, then that's never a good sign.
Yeah. And that's true for life too, guys. That's
Yeah,
life
yeah.
advice. That's not just gaming fucking monetization
You,
advice. That's life advice.
you're getting life advice here. That's right. But yeah, my bad. I've
Yeah,
stopped you
that's
on that's all for
no,
like
you're good. You're
two
good.
different
Yeah,
times.
that's well, the first time it was just like, do you have anything you want to add? Because I have like, I make a list of things that I'd like to touch on and
Right, right, right.
uh PPs are on there.
Oh yeah, I touch on those too.
Yeah. But yeah, and
You're
then
not the
the
only
first one's
one.
always like anything I've missed or you want to add in. But the
Yeah,
second
yeah.
time I thought we were done and I was like, all right.
No,
But
understand,
no,
understand.
it
I had forgot
happens.
about
Yeah.
that till you said that, and then
Well,
I
yeah,
remembered.
exactly. It happens every time too. It's always like, oh yeah, there's this. Oh yeah, there's this. Even after we end the recording, guys, like we usually go on and be like talk for a few more minutes sometimes and like mention things that we probably could have mentioned in the recording. But that's the nature of the podcast. They have to end. And this one's actually went on pretty long compared to the last couple weeks.
Yeah, it
But
has.
yeah, that's it for the week. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, be sure to like the vid and comment below your opinions on these topics. And of course, if you haven't yet, consider subscribing to the channel. It helps us out a lot. We're on the road to 1K, and it keeps you guys up to date with all of our content. Thanks to all of our subscribers, and a special thanks to our channel members. We appreciate your support. If you'd like to help us out, consider becoming a channel member below. We'll catch you next week. See ya.